Hey guys, it's Aluka, and in today's video, I'll be making a bouquet of flowers with my 3D pen. For flowers, I picked the magnolia, the bush lily poppy, the anema, the plumera, the sunflower, and the dahlia, but I'm pretty sure I said a couple of those wrong. To get started, of course, I started with the easiest thing, and that would be the petals. And since 6 flowers isn't really a bouquet, I decided to double up on the flowers and make 2 of each, making 12 flowers in total, but I ended up with a little bit more than that. Once all the petals was done, I began putting the flowers together, and like I said previously, I made 2 of each flower, so I put 2 together. And after I was done putting all those flowers together, I had to go on and add another layer of filament because 1 layer of filament would not be enough, and if I smoothed it out with only 1 layer of filament, it would be way too thin to work with. Next step was smoothing out the pieces because all these flowers just cannot stay all bumpy like this, and to do this I used my Clover mini iron, which gets incredibly hot. This was made for fabric, but I like it because it's really big and I can smooth stuff out without having to use a small soldering iron. And while the process of smoothing out the flowers did make them smooth, it unfortunately did not make them perfect, which means that I need to go over all of them and sand them. And for the parts of sandings they couldn't reach, I used a small nail file. These are really good for a lot of things and are nice to keep on hand. And since these petals are very thin, a couple of them broke off while I was sanding, so out of spite I decided to cut the rest of them off. I actually cut the petals off because the center was way too wide. I left these flowers alone because they looked exactly like the real flower. And I used a lighter to heat up the petals so I could bend them the way I wanted. And to keep it very simple, for the rest of the flowers, I just made a small dot of filament and connected all of them together. I did this for all the flowers except for the sunflower because the sunflower just looks way different. And to make the antennas of the flowers, which I learned today is called filament, and the anther, no pun intended, I stretched out a bunch of filament and made a bunch of lines, which I cut a lot of. And I stuck all those lines together with a little dot of filament and hope for the best. And to make the anther, I just put dots of filament on the top of all those lines. To connect the 2 pieces together, I just used filament, not glue, because no joke, this filament is the strongest filament I ever used in my life. I accidentally stuck 2 pieces together and it took me so much force to break them apart. And of course, I made 2 of them. And then I realized I made the petals to my magnolia flower way too small, so I decided to use the petals to make 3-leaf flowers and hope they exist in real life, and they do, which is weird. I do not like them. For the sunflower, I made the core a little bit bumpy and didn't smooth it out, and for the petals, well, they're right there. And then I realized I used up all the petals and didn't have enough for a second sunflower, so I decided to just move on. This is the bush lily, and I made it the exact same way as the other flower, except instead of adding filament to the bottom, I just squeezed it together. And of course, I did this twice. I remade the petals of the magnolia flower, this time making them significantly larger. And they have this corn-like thing in the center, so I made that. Google says we call these things carpels. I don't know anything about flowers, but I know that's wrong. These petals got put on the exact same way as the other ones, except when I got to the second layer of flowers, I put them in the center instead of on the bottom. And I did the same thing with the lighters to align the petals. Now to make the receptacle of the flower, which is the part that connects to the stem. Then they all got smoothed out. The sunflower is different because on the back of the sunflower kind of looks like a bunch of stars, so I made them. On second thought, I don't think it looks like stars, but it does look close. So I guess this isn't technically correct, but does it really need to be correct? The answer is no. For the stems, I just made these long logs of filament and smoothed them out, and when I smoothed them out, I bent them so they weren't completely straight. And my first plan to attach these two pieces together was to just smelt the filament and stick them on, but that didn't work and they just kept sliding off. So I just used a 3D pin and connected them that way. Adding the stems on really made them look like flowers, but I wasn't done yet. I had to add all the leaves on. And to help me get through this tedious task, I drank a can of Diet Coke. Putting the leaves on was easier than putting the petals on, I think because the petals were so thin, so all I had to do was heat them up and stick them on. And this is me debating if I heated the filament up hot enough to burn myself. I tried to place the petals places where they would look naturally and wouldn't look fake, even though I made them with plastic. They still look like they were made with plastic, but they look real. Like you think they were real, but they're plastic. Like that could be real. Like you could find a real flower like that. I did the same thing with the lighter to shape the leaves, and I think they all turned out great. And before I painted them, I primed them white. I decided to paint the stems first, well, because they're all green, and I used some paintbrush thinner to thin out the paint so it doesn't get all clumpy and ruin the flowers. And to my surprise, as someone who cannot paint, I only ended up painting like 3 of the petals green, so that's a win for me. Then I mixed that green with black and went over everything except for the top of the petals. Next up were all the white flowers that got painted white. This is the plumeria and it's actually yellow and orange, but I couldn't find my yellow paint, so I just did this. I did fix it later. I decided to keep this orange though. And I painted those lines I attached earlier bone white. And this poppy is red, white, and purple, and I painted it exactly that. Now with both of these flowers, I painted them the completely wrong color just because I thought it would look better with the colors that I picked. And I wasn't wrong. Am I saying that I should be God? No, but I'm saying I maybe could have done a better job? Yes. Once I was done, I had a beautiful bouquet of flowers which I set out to make. I think this turned out amazing and I'm really happy with it. And this is the vase I'll be putting the flowers in. I just want to say on record, I didn't measure the vase before I made the flowers. It just turned out perfect because I'm great at what I do. But that's all for this video. Thanks for watching and happy Thanksgiving.